You know, I really, truly, how can I use, what words can I use? I don't want to put it this way, but I'm going to have to put it this way. I'm beginning to see that when you're dealing, because, you know, with people who say that they know the Bible, there's a lot of people out there that know how to quote the Bible, but they don't live it. There's a lot of people out there who say that they love Jesus, but they won't do what he say. There's a lot of people out there that fancy themselves to be scholars, but it's in their own right, based on their own opinion and their own preferences. And I'm learning something too. Late in this life, I'm learning something. I'm learning that basically people approach the scriptures the same way that people approach politics. You know, you have your liberals and then conservatives. Now, we all know that there's two camps there, and each one of those camps have two different outlooks and two different perspectives on life. All right? And I'm learning that's the same way that it is concerning the scriptures. Because the liberals only want to scream and shout and only want the conservatives to hear what they got to say without any rebuttal or without going through the fire of debate. They just want their agenda to be pushed and everybody to accept it plus nothing. The conservatives, on the other hand, wants to argue, and they disagree with the liberals. And when they fact check the liberals can't seem to provide any substantial or sustaining answers. Then you have the Democrats and the Republicans. And the reason why I started that way, because there are Democrats, I'm talking about the old-fashioned Democrats, that are somewhat conservative. But the Democrats, the majority of the Democrats that you see today are the Democrats that is far left, something that the Democratic Party never even pushed. I know about these things because I talk about social, political, economic perspectives and point of views all the time. All the time I do. Because I'm not like these people out here that say there's two things I don't talk about, religion and politics. I talk about them both because they both need to be spoken about and understood and comprehended if you are a man and woman of truth. When you scrutinize people and you pin them down, you find out that people ain't as truthful and honest as they like to be, or they think themselves to be. I had a guy that called me a friend 14 years. And just within the last 8 months, all of a sudden I've been a liar. Let me see, so for 14 years, I wasn't a liar. All of a sudden, he discovered in the last 8 months that all of a sudden still can't figure out what spirit it was, or I have some type of spirit on me, and I'm lying and everybody's lying. And that wasn't his opinion. When they were adjudicating matters, sitting on the board and everything and stuff. No, everything was running fine. So 14 years of straight up honesty, truth, and integrity. All of a sudden, because you change your opinion or your preference, then all of a sudden something's wrong. Nah, that's an issue. See, that's what I'm talking about. Democrats and Republicans. And then you have the people that are commandment keepers. You know, they believe in keeping the commandments. Then you have those that don't believe in keeping the commandments. And you know, if you start with the commandment keepers, you can go all the way from Genesis all the way to the end, to the book of Revelation. And the book of Revelation clearly tells you that the blessed ones are the ones who keep his commandments. That's New Testament. But then you have these Christian liberals that tell you you don't have to keep the commandments because they're done away with. Now, at that point, you've got to determine in your own mind and own right. Is mom and daddy's religion right? Is the religion right? Is the faith that they're touting, is it true? Or is the Bible something wrong with it? Or is it in error? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about translations, because you have a King James Version and you have all these different versions. They're versions of a translation. And the student of the word needs to really, truly look behind each word in order to get to an expected inner truth. And then I watch the Dog and Pony Show. I watch it coming from either liberals or conservatives, Democrats or Republicans, commandment keepers or non-commandment keepers. Usually the commandment keepers are the ones who believe the whole Bible. The ones that are not commandment keepers, like Christians are, they only believe in the New Testament. And when you get finished with it all, you basically having people fighting out ideals, and then when they can't get somebody to see their side, they continue to keep looking for people that agree with them to strengthen their argument, but the bar is not pushed in one direction or the other. None whatsoever at all. Man, things got to be forged through the spirit of debate. And of course, you got people out there, man, that they're not really in it. Today, basically, people tries to form of God after their own mind. And of course, both sides, they love putting words into people's mouth. And then, because you know what's really truly become an epidemic of today is people regurgitating and rehashing what someone else says without any facts or any proof whatsoever at all. And if they do, it's like the liberals. The liberals, they twist what the conservatives said and the intent. And then you watch the Democrats, which, you know, I don't believe that these elections are fair and balanced at all. I just don't believe it. And I'm under no illusion whatsoever at all. I know we have some serious troubles and some serious problems in this country called America. It's just sad. It's sad when you really, really, truly look at it all. I see the reason why that everybody is just simply not going to agree, because I'll give you an example, okay? If you go to John 14:15, Jesus says, if you love me, then keep my commandments. Now, there are a lot of commandments. Are you following me? Some apply to you, some don't apply to you. Somebody says, what do you mean by that, Pastor Dowell? I'll give you an example. So the only way you're going to know what the commandments are, you're going to go over in the Torah, or what is commonly called the law, you know, which Christians resent. They hate that law. They'll tell you they hate it too. They'll tell you it's done away with and we don't have to obey it. But then when you start pushing them into a corner and you question them, I'll give an example. Like, okay, the law says you should not commit adultery. All right? You should not commit adultery. Now, most people, they take that face value and they come from a monogamous perspective and try to define what adultery is rather than what the scripture says. But nevertheless, it says you should not commit adultery, okay? And then they say, well, yeah, I believe that. And I said, I would tell them. I had a discussion with a preacher the other day. One of these old country Baptist preachers up here, just as ignorant as a day is long. And I said, but that committing adultery that you say you believe in is in the law. And you just told me that the law is done away with. Which one is it? See, it's spiritual schizophrenia. It's pick and choose and cherry pick what I want to receive, what I don't want to receive. And I said, so let's come from the perspective you don't believe the law. So if a man commits adultery with your wife, according to your perspective and understanding, since the law is done away with, he has no infraction, he has committed no sin. Isn't that right? Can we all come to that conclusion based on his decision to believe that the commandments are done away with? And then he'll turn around and argue, no, that's adultery. She can't be don't want to land with nobody. She's married. I said, I agree with you, but which one is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have it both ways. You may have it both ways. You may go to McDonald's and have it served your way, but you can't do that out here. Which one is it? I mean, we all would like to know. Stop with the mental gymnastics and the spiritual schizophrenia and let's get real. Is adultery in the law? Yes. Is it done away with? No. But you keep telling people the law is done away with. You got to stop that mess. Because there are a lot of babes out here, a lot of people that is very influential that don't know the word. and they receive men's personage and admiration for an advantage and gain. They pick and choose whatever their flesh sides with. Because a lot of people are experts at ministering to the flesh because they don't have the spirit of Yah. They don't. And I often tell people over and over again, today I find it very hard and difficult, extremely hard and difficult, to even give someone an audience or even listen to someone who haven't even made the sacrifices that I made in life, who haven't given what I've given. I mean, I got people out there. Watch this one. I'm gonna show you another one, right? Watch this. So it got back to me recently that somebody said, well, Pastor Dowell is misappropriating funds. Now, that's a blanket statement. They don't ever define what it is that I'm doing. Nothing at all. But the people who said that, watch this. These are the people who asked me for a $10,000 loan to help them get their store started. Now, we got to ask ourselves a question. Is that misappropriating funds if I give you a $10,000 loan? Coming from that perspective? Or have you conjured up something in your mind? I mean, I got a young man out here who I thought was an honorable young man. And he's getting a lot of views by using my name as Straitway because he can't do it on his own. And so he uses my name in every caption. He uses Straitway. And of course, I always tell people, you hear me say buy, buy is buy, and buy is buy, and buy. And so I can't help but to see that the young man is very bitter because a few months ago, he asked me for a $20,000 loan and I wouldn't give it to him. I said, I don't have any money for you. I just don't. I had a lot of stuff going on with people that are more in need. You know what I mean? We got to move widows around and get them places to stay and stuff like this. And beside all that, it's a good thing. I just didn't have any confidence that I could trust him. Now it's showing out that I made the right choice and decision. My discernment was on par. Isn't that beautiful? So, you know, people get upset and peed off and stuff, and they have different motivations and underlining things that they shoot at people at. And of course, when you look at the political side of it, the holy grail of the Democrats is abortion. That's the holy grail of Democrats. I posted this morning on Facebook what it looks like when a baby is inside the womb moving around. I tell you what, man, sometimes when you got to be heartless and cruel. When you see that little baby in there yawning, you see that baby in there moving around, you see that baby in there just functioning on the inside of the body, just like it would on the outside. It's just kind of like when these animals out here. When animals out here are having babies, you know, these babies are babies in them wombs. They're alive. And we're trying to redefine life. I mean, one of the bad things in the scriptures is that the children of Israel had become so corrupt that they would turn around and sacrifice their children to Molech. And now, today, we don't even wait for the children to be born before we go after them. Now, John 10:10 says, the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and to destroy. Who is that thief? We know that the adversary, Satan, is the thief. But the thief is not functioning in this life without the agreement of human beings that side with him and his lawlessness and his iniquity. Is that making sense? So the thief is more than just Satan. The thief are human beings who are carrying out his agenda. So I'm giving y'all a lot to think on here. Both liberal and conservative, Democrat and Republican. And I don't care, pick and choose whatever one you want, but when it comes to truth, there ain't no such thing as no pick and choose. Period, point blank. You either a sheep or a goat. You either on the right or the left. No in between, no middle, and you know what? Jesus. I mean, a lot of people don't read prophecies. But Jesus clearly states, the prophets clearly states, that when he comes back again, he is going to be ruling with a rod of iron. And you undisciplined people out there who love murmuring and complaining, boy, you're going to get your chance either in hell or you're going to change your tune before then, because when he says he's ruling with a rod of iron, that means he's going to be ruling without your suggestions or opinions. And just like you see us out here working like this, we're going to be working in the kingdom. You people on the delusion thinking that we're going to be running around watching naked babies mooning everybody with wings on their back, and everybody's just going to be sitting there drinking wine and going and picking grapes out of the garden and stuff. And you may, I don't know where y'all get this delusion from. That ain't the delusion. That is not what I read. And I read very carefully what the prophet says according to what the Most High has given him, the way that the kingdom is going to be. I don't read it. I just cannot get it. And so people on the delusion, so what I've learned over the years is that people try to create a God that suits them. And they expect that God that they created that suits them to believe what they believe, live the way they live, and do after the way they do. And if they can eat pork contrary to what the law says, if they can celebrate Christmas contrary to what the law says, if they can celebrate Easter, which ain't nothing written in the whole book about it, they're going to do it. It's basically they're serving other gods. They just ain't admitting to it. Anybody understand what I said? Because 1 John 3:4 says sin is the transgression of the law. That's New Testament. That is New Testament. Well, hope y'all have a wonderful day. Figure it out. You're doing well. Hope y'all can figure it out, man, because I'm telling you, there's much to be desired. Nowadays, it really, really, truly is. And people got a lot of thinking to do, a lot of independent thinking. Use a lot of self-autonomy rather than having somebody else think for you, because, man, religion will mislead you, people will mislead you. And of course, what Satan is expecting is that you will never pick up that Bible, never read it for yourself, because if you do, you're going to have a lot of enemies, a hell of a lot of enemies.